Everybody likes to laugh. It makes us forget about our troubles and feel happy. It is only natural that we are drawn to people who can make us laugh and do it for a living. This is why comedy has such a special place in popular culture. However, we do not get a full glimpse of who comedians are behind the scenes. This is why the Joe Rogan podcast is fascinating. Being a comedian himself, Joe is able to bring some of his favorite comedians on and give us a new look at their personalities offstage. So in this video, we are going to tell you that the weirdest Joe Rogan podcast ever. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. Before starting the video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. Joe Rogan is a famous American comedian, podcaster, and former television presenter. Joe released his first comedy show, I'm Gonna Be Dead Someday, back in 2000. His podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, was launched in 2009. This is the perfect podcast for anyone who wants to learn more about the world in an entertaining way. In each episode, Joe interviews a different guest, and they discuss everything from current events to personal experiences. The show is always entertaining and informative. This is your ultimate guide to the Joe Rogan podcast's best guests ever. He's getting around $90 million a year for his show on SiriusXM, and it looks like Joe's getting somewhere between $20, $40 million a year. Spotify reportedly paid $100 million, 75 million pounds, in 2020 for rights to the Joe Rogan Experience, which is the streaming service's top podcast. It is reportedly downloaded almost 200 million times a month. On the show, the U.S. broadcaster hosts a wide variety of guests who discuss their views on a range of topics. But some episodes have featured false and misleading claims. Mr. Rogan said, "This is not a vaccine. This is essentially a gene therapy." But this is not true. None of the COVID vaccines change your genetic material or DNA, essentially the recipe book containing the instructions on how to build your body. The vaccines made by Pfizer and Moderna harness a different molecule called messenger RNA. If DNA is the blueprint, RNA is the messenger, carrying instructions to your cells. In the case of the COVID vaccine, the message to your cells is to turn the RNA into a piece of the virus's spike protein. That's what fires your immune system up to start producing antibodies and other cells to fight off the virus. When the message has been received, the RNA from the virus is broken down and disposed of. It doesn't interact with your own genetic material at all. This claim was made on an episode last year featuring Brett Weinstein, an American author and professor of biology, who said, "Ivermectin alone is capable of driving this pathogen to extinction." BBC Reality Check looked at a series of research papers claiming to show the effectiveness of this drug in treating COVID. Many were very low quality, and in some cases, the data had been clearly manipulated. If you look only at rigorously carried out studies, there is no evidence of the drug's effectiveness. Campaigners often cherry-pick positive examples and ignore the fact that many countries which rely heavily on ivermectin, like Brazil and Peru, had some of the worst death tolls from the virus. The world-leading expert on reviewing medical evidence, Cochrane, concluded based on just these reliable trials that there was insufficient evidence to recommend the drug. One of Mr. Rogan's most controversial guests has been the virologist Robert Malone. Dr. Malone was banned from Twitter in December last year for violating its COVID misinformation policies. He appeared on Mr. Rogan's podcast shortly afterward. Among the misleading claims made in this podcast episode was one suggesting people who are vaccinated after having COVID-19 are at greater risk of adverse side effects. Robust studies so far have shown that a very small number of conditions, blood clots, heart inflammation, are slightly more likely after certain vaccines, although are still very rare. In one UK study, researchers found that vaccine after effects were more common in those who already had COVID. However, this study only looked at mild after effects, such as fatigue, chills, and headaches. Mr. Rogan said, "I don't think it's true there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID-19 that are young, versus the risk from the vaccine. Myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart muscle that has been raised as a rare side effect of vaccination. However, research has shown that this condition, which can lead to shortness of breath, chest pain, and in very rare cases heart failure, is considerably more common after a COVID infection than after vaccination, as is also the case with blood clots. It also appears that cases of myocarditis post-vaccination are generally milder and shorter lasting. Mr. Rogan later corrected himself, but has made several other comments suggesting young people shouldn't be vaccinated as they are at low risk from COVID-19. The vaccines, particularly after a booster, can also reduce your chances of catching the virus and therefore passing it on to others. It's certainly the case that younger people are at much lower risk of serious illness from COVID, but they are not at zero risk of developing complications. Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.